bigger crowd. What I would do is please ask that you pass the word, that people come to our food pantry, people come to our free clothes bank, and people come to our roadmap life skills classes. I'd like to thank Father Rodney and St. Matthew's for hosting us here and providing breakfast. Before I introduce Melissa, I want to just take one moment and point out Bill Gallagher. I refer Bill as St. Bill of Horsham. We're just celebrating over 800 consecutive Saturdays where we've given food out. Before we had our own pantry, we used to work through Chutton Baptist Church on Limekiln Pike and Drescher across from the McDonald's. So Bill's a phenomenal man. If there's a heaven, he's going right away. So. But anyway, we're so lucky today to have Melissa Cerrato, our representative, and Rafia, who's just phenomenal to work with, here to talk about all the services that are available at your state representative's office, whether you're in our Melissa's district or without. So without further ado, we'll start.
Thank you. Hi everybody, thanks for coming out this morning. I know it's dark and dreary, and frankly everybody would probably still be snuggled in their blankets otherwise, but I promise I will try not to make this very, very dull. So I am Melissa Cerrato. I was elected as state representative back in 2022. So this is my first term in office. To be honest, I never wanted to be a politician. I had no desire whatsoever. I hated everything about politics. I thought it was too divisive. Everybody just hates you when you're in politics, and I did not want to be that person. So back in 2018, one of my best friends decided to run for office in a neighboring district. She handles Bluebell, Lower Gwinnett, Upper Gwinnett, that kind of area. And during her race, you know, obviously I felt her, I support her. She's a great person. She wanted to be out there helping her community. And she said to me, when I win, I want you to come and I want you to help me in my office. And I looked at her and I said, you're out of your mind, I'm not doing it. I have no desire whatsoever to be involved in politics. And at the time I was just working in a position, I was a home caretaker for a woman that had dementia. It was actually my best friend from childhood's mother. And so it was a really tough job, but it was a very rewarding job in the sense that I knew that, you know, in her last few years, I was able to bring joy in what otherwise might not have been so joyful of a situation. You know, prior to that, I had taken a little time off. I had my twins, who are now going to be 11 in November, but they were my third and fourth daughters. So my life was a little bit busy, a little bit hectic. And prior to taking that time off, I was actually a nanny for families with children with disabilities. So you might see a pattern of being here. I'm a caretaker. I care about people, I care about kids and adults and families and communities, and I just always wanted to help people however I could. You know, I worked in a program every year down in North Philly. We did a holiday giveaway, and it was, you know, I started just because I happened to know how to super coupon, and so I was ending up with shopping carts full of random, you know, toothpaste and toothbrushes, and I was donating them to a local organization. And they said, you're really good at this. Can we reel you in? Can you help us with this project? And next thing you know, we literally had more toys and more gifts for these children than we knew what to do with. And while it was an amazing experience to see the smiles, it was selfishly, it was really rewarding. It was really nice to know that you made a difference in a child's life. And it was a hard situation at the same time. I left both extremely proud, extremely excited, and really depressed, knowing how many people were out there really struggling. So when Liz had asked me to jump in and help run her office, and I initially was like, absolutely not, I'm not doing it, she reminded me that once you're an elected official, your office cannot be political. Now, as the elected official, obviously she still has to run for office and she gets to do that. But the team that works within the office, helping the constituents of our district, are not allowed. They're not allowed to ask you what you're registered on, who you voted for, who you plan to vote for. They're not allowed to talk to you about elections. So a lot of people are scared sometimes to come into offices because they don't want to be put in a position where they feel like they're not going to be represented if they didn't vote the way that
the elected official happens to vote. That is not the case. So I'm going to start off by assuring you that no matter who you are, no matter who you vote for, no matter what you believe, the team in my office is there to serve you. They are there to try and help you with state-related issues. They are there to try and help cut that red tape. And I guarantee you, unless you offer it up, no one in our office will know how you are registered or what you vote on come election day, or if you voted for. So that's just number one thing I want to point out. So I went into her office. I started, December of 2018. 2019 rolls around, and the gentleman, I didn't want to be the Raffia. Raffia is literally the person who makes all the world go round in my office. So if you have a few moments at the end, make sure you say hi to Raffia, because most likely she'll have a hand in everything that's done to help you in the future. I didn't want that role. I wanted a very back role of like, I'm gonna help the constituents, but again, I don't wanna worry about if I have to cross over the line. Less than a year in, the DOD ended up moving on to another position, and my friend calls me in and says, I need you. The constituents love you, you're doing great in your position. Step up, run this office for me. And I was like, no, here's all the reasons I don't want it. I have 4 kids, I have this, I have that, too much responsibility, don't want it. And a week later, I got a letter from the caucus congratulating me on my new position. So fast forward, 2020 hits, COVID hits. We all know the devastation that COVID caused throughout our communities, whether it was people losing their jobs, losing their loved ones, getting sick themselves. The struggle was very, very real. The anger was real. The frustration was real. And I was the one answering those phone calls, answering those emails, and talking to the people who would show up in the office. It no longer was an 8:30 to 4:30 job. It was some days were about 20 hours long, because I don't know how to turn it off. I don't know if someone is emailing me at 7 o'clock at night with a real issue, and I'm like, wait, I know the answer to that one. We can get this fixed. I need you to make a phone call by 8 a.m. I'm not gonna wait until I get into the office at 8:30 to make that phone call. It wasn't in my nature. So I almost killed myself during the process, but I was able to help thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So in 22, when election time rolls around, I'm at home snuggling with my kids on the sofa watching a show. My phone was plugged in the kitchen, and I get up to make lunch, and there's a bunch of missed calls and text messages, and it's my girlfriend, my boss, and she said, they want you to run for office. They think that you'd be amazing. They think you'd be good for your community. Will you step up? Will you do it? And again, my answer was like, absolutely not. I don't want to be political. I want nothing to do with this. But in the long run, I have 4 daughters. I've had 4 years of peeking behind the curtain in Harrisburg, seeing what I didn't like, the dysfunction, the hatred between the parties, and how things weren't moving for everybody. And it was really a problematic thing. And I decided that, you know what, how am I going to sit home and say, I know that with committees split 15 to 10, there's no legislation moving from one party, it's only moving from the other party. And how do we make that more fair? And how do I have a say in trying to fix what's wrong? So I ran 63 votes. I got over the finish line. My opponent is actually somebody that I'm friends with. So we go out all the time having a drink and having dinner, and people in the community are like, how does this work? And I was like, just because we had different pathways, we both care about our community, we just had different methods of trying to fix things. So I would like to think that our community right here is the poster child for how things should be in the future. We need to stop the divisiveness amongst us. We need to stop judging people by how they're registered to vote. We need to just care about one another and step up and try and help each other. And some of us may have more money to be able to donate. Some of us may have more time to be able to donate. Some of us may just have a listening ear or a sensitive soul and be able to make someone feel heard, appreciated, and cared about. So all of us have something that we can give to each other and to our communities, and that's where my love for this job is. I still hate the political side of things. I still hate the games that are played, but it is so incredibly rewarding to know that in a small way, we are able to help people every single day. And so you wonder, okay, well, what does your office actually do? People are often confused, and I gave a handout with a summary basically of my job. I feel like I have 2 jobs. One of which is to create laws, to go to Harrisburg, to vote on those laws, and my committees to ask people to advocate for the things that they need. And that is great in some ways, but I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I don't know a whole lot about everything. So it takes community members like you to come to my office, to have a meeting with me, to say, here's an issue I'm seeing in our community. Do you think there's a way to fix this? I've had 3 bills passed through the Pennsylvania House in my first term, and all 3 bills came from a constituent who had a problem that we felt like we could address legislatively, and that's how we did it. So I need that help, because I can't just pull stuff out of thin air and say, well, this is the issue that matters to me, and this is what I'm gonna fight for. We need the input from our communities. We need you to say, you know, my first ever bill that passed, a woman had called our office and asked for a mobile notary service. Every single member of my team is a notary. We do free notary services in the office. We also do free notary services at our mobile office. You do not need an appointment in office. However, if you need witnesses, we do ask and call ahead, just because our staff do run to mobile offices and other events, and we want to make sure we have people there. But this one was a little weird, because we don't typically go to someone's home to provide services. It's not always safe for them or for us, and so our caucus is very much, you know, the Pennsylvania House says, we don't recommend you doing this, but it's up to you. Use your judgment. This case, the husband was disabled. He was unable to leave, and the wife could not leave her disabled husband. They didn't have a caretaker that could come in and make sure that he was okay, even for the short period of time it would have taken to come get a document notarized. So we did it. We sent 2 of our team members to the house, and upon arrival, we realized we were notarizing divorce documents. Not because this husband and wife did not truly love one another, but because under the current waiver program for people who have disabilities, it covers the cost of getting an in-home care provider. And that can be your sister, that can be your cousin, that can be your next door neighbor, but it can't be your spouse. And so this woman, due to the shortage of care providers that we have, was unable to get anybody in there to help her with her husband. She was unable to work. They were both obviously struggling at this point, but she said, in order for me to be his provider, I need to divorce him legally. That's a problem. I don't know about you, but to me, that just broke my heart. Knowing that they love one another so much that they were going to have to say, we are no longer a married unit, just so she could afford to feed him and clothe him. It was a problem. So I went to research and I found out, hey, sure enough, in 2016, the federal government granted states the opportunity to request a waiver to allow us to pay spouses into the caregiver program. Voila, simple fix, nonpartisan issue. We are gonna move forward with this. It moved through my committee, and it was straight party lines, and I was really, really disappointed at first. And I said, I don't understand, why is this a partisan issue? What's going on? But you know what, I took the time. I took the time to talk to every single member on the opposite side of the aisle that voted against my bill, and talk to them and understand. And some didn't understand the concept of my bill, and by the time we got to the floor, we were able to have significant bipartisan support for the bill, and it was something I was really proud of. But that's the one thing I will say, is that if we don't work together, nothing's getting done. So it doesn't matter if you start off thinking something's a bad idea. Be willing to have a conversation with somebody. You know, I have people every day coming into my office to meet with me, and sometimes they come in and they don't like the way I voted on something, or they don't like what I said in my weekly email, which, by the way, I write a weekly email every single week. I do them myself. They'll include information about what we're doing in Harrisburg, what we're doing in our community, and at the bottom they always have our next couple of upcoming events. So if you do want to receive them, you will not be spammed out of your mind. It is one email once a week, and you can ignore it when you want to ignore it, but it really does have some helpful information. They're all archived on my website too, so if you want to go back and read about that as well. So that's how we get legislation, and then that's what we do. But a whole huge part of my job is being in my community. It's talking to the people around me. It's hearing from them what we can do to serve them. And so I gave you a lot of handouts. They all kind of touch on different things. There's different things that we have for seniors. We can do senior SEPTA passes that you can ride any SEPTA bus, train, etc. for free within the SEPTA line, 50% off if you're going to New Jersey. There's the property tax rent rebate. So a lot of people are unaware that the state actually offers you a rebate if you're over the age of 65, if you're over the age of 55 or a widower, and there is an income cap. Now, that income cap used to be $35,000 a year. In this session, we were able to raise it up to $45,000 a year. The max refund used to be $600. We were able to raise that up to $1,000 this session. We also added a cost of living adjustment to that. So instead of having to go back and legislate over and over and over again for our seniors to be able to get a bigger rebate back on what they have contributed in property tax, we know that this is going to increase with the cost of living as the cost of living increases. Now, so even if you know that we have this state rebate, which you can come into my office or my own mobile offices at any point in time, all you're gonna need is your income documentation. What else is income documentation?
For the rent rebate is income
Taxes.
documentation and rent certificate. For property tax, it is income information and tax receipt.
Yeah, exactly. So once you qualify for the Pennsylvania property tax rent rebate, every school district, so are you all from Horsham or are you kind of from all over? Okay. So every school district, I know the 4 that fall within the 151st, so Wissahickon, North Penn, Upper Dublin, and Hatboro, Horsham all have their own property tax rate rebate. So I believe Abington would as well. Your state representative is Ben Sanchez, and his office would be able to help you with they do.
It's across the street where I live.
Ah, perfect. That works out really well then. So once you get the check back from the state, you're gonna come back to my office and we're gonna help you then apply for your local school district. And you will get, each one of them has different amounts that they can get back. We're gonna help you apply for that as well. So there's 2 rebates every single year that seniors should be applying for property taxes. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that if you're a senior and you qualify.
I have a question. So Sanchez can do that?
Yes, Sanchez's office can do that.
So it's for the school taxes?
Yes, so you have to ask, I'm not sure if Abington School District does the same product, but definitely call his office because they would know. So I know all 4 school districts that I represent, they all do have their own. I'm not 100% sure about Abington, but I would find it,
Yeah,
I would find it unusual if they didn't.
I can talk by myself. The school tax is almost $4,000.
Yes. It's quite a hefty sum, and this is, we're working on legislation to freeze seniors' property tax at the time of retirement. We're working on legislation that if you've lived in your home for more than 10 years, that we can find some. But the issue is that at some point, your roads need to be paved, your schools need to be paid for. So trying to come up with ways that we can still take care of our communities and cut taxes for the most vulnerable. It is a process. It is one that honestly causes a lot of this.
Because you said the rebate from the PA
Yes,
is 1,000. I received 150.
Yes.
1,500.
okay.
Maybe because they don't have the school taxes rebate. I need to go there and ask.
No, but it would depend on your income. So for the state, that has nothing to do with the school rebate,
okay.
so that wouldn't play into it. It would basically be based on your income
Okay.
and the taxes that you paid. So we have one particular part of our district that they're manufactured homes. So they actually have to file differently because they own the home, they rent the land, so we have a rent certificate, so we file them very differently, and there was a glitch in the computer system, so we've actually had quite a few of them reevaluated, and they've ended up getting more money than they originally had. So if you ever feel like it's coming in and it's not where it should be, based on what you're seeing in the chart, it'll show you in the back, actually, I think in one of the pamphlets that I handed, it'll tell you like what you should qualify based on.
It wasn't a glitch because since I applied after 65, always is more than they say on a flyer.
Okay.
So it's always more. So this one was a glitch. It's always more.
Okay, perfect. As long as you're getting what you need,
Yeah.
that's the important part. So, you know, we have, while we only handle, in our office, we handle things like, Medicaid, food stamps, reduced lunches for kids in schools, LIHEAP, which is reduced, prices for heating in your houses. We can help you apply for all of those things in our office. We don't handle Medicare, because that is actually a federal program. However, there is a packet in here that has Medicare counseling information in it. So while we as a state don't handle Medicare, we do have connections to groups that will help you in the process of making sure that you're picking what's best for you and going through the process properly. So there is that. So I tried to kind of divide them. There's seniors, there's some things for kids. We also help with unclaimed funds. Unclaimed funds through the Department of Treasury of the state is when you may have a bill that somebody you overpaid. It might be $20, it might be $300, it might be, I think our highest so far was $100 and something thousand. The PA Department of Treasury has billions of dollars of money from our communities that people don't know they're missing. And so part of our job is to literally check and see if you, your loved one, your family members may have that and help you go through the process of reclaiming those unclaimed funds. So I did go ahead and put one of those brochures in as well. We say to people, just because you've looked once doesn't mean you should stop looking. They are constantly adding new things. I was just telling the ladies that just a couple months ago I got a $300 check from 2000 when I was in college in Virginia. I overpaid the bookstore or something, and so they had it in their unclaimed funds in Virginia, and it took this long, and now suddenly in Pennsylvania I have a $300 check that I was able to take. So it is definitely worth calling our office, stop in. We're very, very accessible. So whichever way, even if you want to just email us, we can email you back. There's a million ways to reach us, but we're here to try and help you with as much as we possibly can. You know, if you are in need of a birth certificate or a death certificate, that's something that we can help with in our office. We can apply for those. If you happen to be a veteran, the fee is waived to receive those. We can do reduced registration for seniors. We can help process that through our office as well. There are so many programs out there. Most people don't know about them. There are a lot more programs for seniors and veterans. So it opens up a whole nother world of things that we can try and help with. But we have also made connections with amazing organizations. So when people end up in a tight spot, even though it's not a state-related issue, we may be able to find people. The Department of Aging, for instance, they do meal boxes once a month for seniors that they can get to you. It's simple, it's easy to apply. They have a program called Pace and PaceNet, which is wraparound services. It can go along with your Medicare or your, and it helps cover extra cost of prescription drugs. So every little thing can help, especially when people are dealing with making sure that we can eat right now. We want to make sure that you have access to every program. So I always say, when in doubt, just show up. Just sit and talk to one of my team members. I promise they're all incredibly friendly and they're very much there to help. So if you come in and say, listen, I'm just struggling, what do you think I could qualify for? What do you think I should apply for? They can help direct you. They can try and help in any way that we can. You know, we're really, at the end of the day, we're here to serve you, and that's hard to do if you don't come to us.
Do we need to go to Marisburg or can we go to Washington? Because you have the two in here.
Yes, so you do not need to go to Harrisburg. You definitely do not need to travel. Horsham is our main office that we have, but I also realize that some people have difficulties with cars and transportation and such. So we actually have mobile office locations every single week in every part of my district. So we're at the Upper Dublin Library every single Thursday. We are at the Wissahickon Public Library in Ambler every single Tuesday. We're at the Montgomery Township Rec Center every single Wednesday. We're at the Horsham Library one Friday a month. So we are really trying to not only have our main office, which is at 605 Horsham Road, it's right at the intersection of Norristown and Horsham. If you're taking Norristown to Horsham, you make a left. We're about the fourth house on your left. Can't miss it, my giant face is on the side. But that was a bone of contention. I just wanted my logo, and Rafi was like, no, people are gonna be driving by, they're not gonna have time to read your logo. We need your face on there. And I was like, who wants their face blown up to 3 feet big on a sign? But it's there, and the amount of people who have said that they almost drove past until they saw the face and then they turned in. So it is pretty easy to find. We do have a handicap accessible entrance in the front of the office, so if you or a loved one needs help and they are worried about that, we do have the ability to serve that way. Most of the services can be done over the phone. So if you have a schedule where it's really tough for you to get there between 8:30 and 4:30 in the day, give us a call. And unless there's something we absolutely cannot help over the phone, we're happy to do that to make it more convenient for you as well. But you know, our whole job is making sure that we're accessible to you in every way that we can be, in the easiest way for you to reach us, and we're helping you in the best ways we can. So really, if anybody has feedback, if there's any locations that you think, hey, you know, this is an area that's farther away from the offices that might, you know, help for you to have a mobile office here once a week or once a month or whatever, we will look into it. Obviously, our staff is rather tiny. It's 4 team members and myself, so we handle a lot with 64,000 people and me traveling back and forth to Harrisburg, but we do everything we possibly can to try and make sure that we are serving the people that need us. So, anybody have questions? Nothing? You guys are quiet. Yes. Absolutely. So the state provides based on income. The state has CHIP for children, and then they have Medicaid for adults. And we can help you look into all of that. So if you have a young adult, a child, etc., yourself, and you're in need of healthcare, stop in, call the office. They're going to tell you what information. There is actually a website called Compass. So you technically don't even need to come to us if you don't want to, but some people get a little overwhelmed with this stuff. And that you can apply literally for the health insurance. You can apply for LIHEAP, which is the reduced, heating expenses. You can apply for the free and reduced lunches. You can apply for the small cash assistance program. You can apply for a whole lot of things with one application. So that's what we do, is we make sure that we have all the information that they need for us to process that one application, and they'll spit back, you qualify for this, and this. Which ones are you interested in? So it is a very easy one-stop shop. It's a long application for the most part, and it's, we need your proof of income, we need to know that you're not sitting on like $1 billion in the bank and then begging for food stamps. So there are, documentation that is required in order for that we'll have to upload and send to them for review. But it's easy in the sense that it's all combined into one, so it makes it much easier to figure out what you qualify for and get it moving pretty quickly. And I will say, we help with unemployment issues, so if there's an unemployment case, that was huge during COVID. We haven't seen that much of it actually lately. It's really died down. But we have liaisons with all the state departments, so the Department of Revenue, the Department of Treasury, the Department of Transportation. We are able to come up sometimes with creative solutions. I had a woman call me the other day. She's in an assisted living facility in a wheelchair. Her license is about to expire. She had called my office and had them send her a form to renew. She sent the form in, she didn't send it to us, she sent it in herself and didn't realize there was a fee associated with it. But she was kind of confused because she's like, well, I don't drive anymore, so I don't need a license. And so we were walking through what it turns out she still wants an ID, but she physically has a very difficult time getting to the DMV. So during COVID, they had given us a little bit of leeway, especially with seniors, where we could use their previous photo on an ID. So we called ourselves and said, listen, we have this woman, she's truly disabled, she's not driving, so it's not an issue of a driver's license. Is there any way that we can work it out so that she doesn't have to go stand in line at a DMV and get her photo? And they worked with us. We had a form. It's supposed to be for out-of-state people, but they find ways to make it work for us, and they were able to renew using her previous picture. So even if you think it's something that can't be done, and some can't, like we are not miracle workers. I can't fire the world. I can't, I have no ability to tell anyone at another level of elected government what to do. I can advocate. I am not federal. I am not local. I am not school board. I cannot tell any of them that they have to do something. We do have great relationships with all of them. We have relationships with our police departments and our fire departments and our school districts and our townships and our boroughs. And we've really worked to make sure that we keep those lines of communication open so that when a constituent comes to us with an issue, even though it's not necessarily in the purview of our office, we can still reach out to Bill Walker at Horsham Township, or we can still reach out to Chief Ida and say, hey, there's an issue someone came to us about, like, can you look into this? Is there anything that can be done? We'd appreciate it. We have relationships with both Congressman Fitzpatrick and Congresswoman Dean's office. So depending on which part of the area you live in, you're represented by one of those people. Great relationships with their team. I honestly have their cell phone numbers on my phone, and there's times that I'm calling directly and just being like, hey, someone got locked out of their Facebook. So a woman that lives in Horsham, she's a photographer. She gets a lot of her business done via the internet, via Facebook. Somebody had hacked. They had hacked it. They had taken over her account. They were trying to solicit money from people. It was a giant mess. Her business was literally at risk of falling apart. I had a connection at Ryan Fitzpatrick's office who I just happened to talk to the week before, and he said, oh yeah, by the way, if you ever have anybody that has a real issue on Facebook, call me. I've got somebody at Meta. It was 3 days later that this woman contacted me and I was like, perfect. So I called him and I was like, hey, remember that conversation? I'm going to do it now. So, the reality is that while we are separate parts of government, we do different things. If you're talking about Social Security, Medicare, passports, post offices, that's all federal level. Roads in the area are split between state roads and local roads. We can help you figure out if you want to report a pothole, if there's a lot of debris on the side of the road somewhere, if there's issues like that. They may be local, they may be us. There's a lot of communication that has to go on to make sure that we are informing you. We will always give you that information on who to contact, but if you would like, we also can go and advocate on your behalf as well. I am not, because I have been a staffer for so long, I'm not used to sitting behind the desk and just kind of letting other people, much to dismay sometimes of my team, because they're like, hey, we got this. I love them, I trust them wholeheartedly, but I do like being involved. So there are often times where I'll answer the phone at work and people are a little bit shocked or they don't believe it. I had a reporter actually call looking for me, and I answered the phone and they asked for Rafi and I transferred them over. Next thing I know, she's like, wait, you want to set up a phone call with the representative? Like, you were just on the phone with the representative, and at that point I had already walked out and I was doing something else, so they missed their shot. But I really want to be involved, and if there is something that my team has done and it's great, I want to hear about it so that I can go back and praise them. I frankly think they're the best team in the world. I handpicked and stole them from other representatives' office, so when I get credit for the amazing work that's done in my office, I always say the only thing amazing is that I was smart enough to pick the people that I did. But that being said, we're human. We make mistakes. Sometimes our workload gets very overwhelming. In now we're less than 2 years in, but almost 2 years. It's over 19,000 people we've already served in our office. So as you can imagine, sometimes the emails get backlogged, sometimes the phone calls get missed. Please don't think it's intentional. If that happens, reach out again and just, my team will be incredibly embarrassed and apologetic. But I also need to know if there was something that, for instance, you weren't satisfied with the way that you were treated, or you weren't satisfied with the help that you got. And again, we can't work miracles. If it's not in our power to fix it or change it, we can't do it. But I do need to know so that I can have that conversation. You know, I just, a gentleman the other day, one of the local people in Horsham who I know said, you know, I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said he was really unhappy with your office. He said he came in and you guys just didn't help him. And I don't like hearing that. I gotta be honest, I don't like hearing that. But immediately, I'm like, I gotta go back. Do you remember his name? Let me go look. And sure enough, I looked, and it was a federal issue with a passport. And so my team did what they were supposed to. They connected him with a local federal official. But sometimes people don't understand, and that's why I love that I have the opportunity to talk to you guys, so that you know that we're not here to blow you off. But there are sometimes things that I'm going to be like, that's a federal issue, and we don't have liaisons. Like, as much as I would love, because trust me, I've had some of my own issues with the Postal Service and things like that. I would love to be able to fix it. We don't have liaisons. They won't talk to us. We don't have their phone number. We don't have their email address. And so by connecting you with the federal representative's office, that is the best that we can do. So sometimes it takes a little understanding, but I still wanted to call the gentleman, and I wanted to explain that to him and say, I understand your frustration. I understand that, you thought we were going to be able to help you. We weren't, and that, that upset you. I said, but truly, this is not an issue. My team could not have done anything differently, and I hope that you'll give us another chance and won't be afraid to come back to us in the future if you do have another issue, because we're here. So I guess that's kind of where I just want to make sure that everybody knows, we're going to do the best we can, and even if we can't fix one problem, don't be afraid to come back. Sometimes we're going to be able to fix problems even if they're not state related. Sometimes even if they are state related, we're going to hit red tape. We just had a gentleman we've been working with for months, and we finally got it resolved. It was Department of Revenue and an inheritance tax issue, and the Department of Revenue messed up. They didn't log a payment that was made to his account, and so he's looking for a refund, and they're saying, well, he never paid the money, why would we refund him? And so there were a few hoops that had to be jumped through, but we were able to get him this $1,000 refund. It just sometimes takes longer than we wish. Most of our liaisons have about a 72-hour window to get back to us. Some will get back to us in 15 minutes, and others will take that 72 hours. It depends on how busy their department is, but I was trying to remind people we're all human. At the end of the day, like I try and look at people as that they're not there to hurt me. They might just be busy. They might have been out of the office for the day, and that's why I didn't get a response. So I just ask patience for everyone, but we'll do everything we can. Yes.
So, the state representative like you are,
Yes.
if you have something with the federal, you can give the person the right number to call.
Yes. So yes. So you would be Congresswoman Dean, or are you?
Dean.
You're Congresswoman Dean. Yes. So our office has the contact information, and I actually wrote a weekly email, which I may reshare out again soon because I think it's helpful. I wrote down exactly what people call our office about, and which are federal issues, which are state issues, which are local issues, which are school board issues, and I put the contact information for every single one of them in that email. We also work on making, we have legislative directories in my office that one of my team members after the election goes through, and we figure out who's in what positions. They actually make a phone book that has names, addresses, phone numbers, contact information from everything from your school board up to the President of the United States and where you mail a letter to. We obviously, with an election year, we don't print new ones because we don't want to have to throw them away if they don't all go out. But after the election, my one staffer will be renewing them, updating them, making sure they're, and so after the new year, we will have those directories in our office again. So they are helpful to have because you don't ever have to look again if you need to find out who your zoning person is or who, we compile that information and put it in one spot and have them printed up and sent out, so. But yes, we can always get your contact information.
I want to thank everybody. First of all, thank you, Melissa. I learned a lot. All of us are probably leaving money on the table if we don't take advantage of one thing or another. What I do want to say is next month, October, we're going to have a speaker come in. It may be the pharmacist from Horsham Pharmacy right near the Giant on Horsham Road to talk about PACE-Net, and the Clearinghouse. And there are programs that are funded by the Pennsylvania State Lottery to reduce prescription costs. Second thing I'll mention is we're now, one of our churches, member churches, Riverside Church, is now starting to do an English second language class. So I passed out a brochure on that. There's also another one of our churches, Trinity, on County Line Road in Happer, also has an English second language. I'd like for you, if possible, to visit our website, HorshamInterfaith.com. We have made a lot of improvements, and hopefully it's real easy to see all the different programs we have. I'd ask you to try to spread the word. Everybody talks about social media, but our biggest challenge is to get the word out about these meetings, about our closed bank, about our food pantry. The goal is to help people. Last, I'm going to say in November, we'll have the manager from the WSS Bank in Maple Glen come in and talk about value banking. So you're able to set up banking accounts without getting huge fees. A lot of accounts, a lot of banks kill you if you don't have a lot of money. So it probably will be very good. In December, we're going to have a holiday gathering. So hopefully you'll be able to join that. And then the last thing is we have this resource book that's always available on housing, all the other issues. But I thank you again, and thank Rafia and State Rep for coming in today.
Thank you. And on those blue and white papers that you received, you are not required to fill them out. If you want to receive the weekly email on Fridays, you can put your email address on that. We'll make sure that you're signed up. And if you want my office to contact you directly, if there's questions you still have after this or specific ones that you want to ask in a group of people, just mark on the thing that please contact me and leave your contact information, and we will follow up with you next week when the office is open. All right, thank you all so very much. Have a great day.